Imagine having the one talent you were born to use and discovering that the world has already decided you are the last person who should ever be allowed to use it. That is where today's movie mystery begins. Our hero is surrounded by people who care about him, but they do not understand the thing that excites him most. To them, life is about survival, practicality, and knowing your place. To him, life is full of hidden possibilities. A smell is not just a smell. A flavor is not just a flavor. Ordinary ingredients can become something completely different when they are combined with imagination. Already have a guess. Do not lock it in yet. At this stage, the story could be about an artist, an inventor, a musician, maybe even an athlete. The unusual part is that our main character's gift is connected to food. He notices details that others around him barely register. He can separate scents, recognize ingredients, and imagine combinations before anyone else understands what he is trying to do. The problem is not a lack of talent. The problem is that the life he was born into seems completely incompatible with his dream. His family expects him to contribute in the obvious way. Find food. Stay safe. Help the group. Do not take unnecessary risks. From their point of view, this is sensible advice. They have survived by being cautious, resourceful, and realistic. They do not have the luxury of turning dinner into an artistic question. But our hero cannot stop thinking about taste. He does not want to accept whatever happens to be available. He wants to understand why one ingredient improves another, why aroma changes expectation, why texture matters, and why a meal can create an emotion. He is fascinated by the idea that cooking can be more than a way to fill an empty stomach. It can be a craft. It can even be a kind of language. If that sounds unusually serious for a story about food, that is one of your clues. Another clue, the person who inspires him is someone he has never truly known. A celebrated chef has become a symbol of possibility in his mind. The chef represents a simple but powerful belief: great cooking should not belong only to people with perfect backgrounds, prestigious families, or approved identities. Talent can appear in unexpected places. Remember that idea. It will matter more and more as the mystery continues. Now our hero's curiosity creates trouble. His gift for detecting what is safe and what is dangerous makes him useful to his family, but usefulness is not enough for him. He secretly studies food with the seriousness of someone learning a profession. He experiments. He imagines recipes. He looks at a kitchen and sees a world that seems magical precisely because he is not supposed to be part of it. Then circumstances separate him from the familiar life he knows. He finds himself alone, disoriented, and far from the security of his family. For a while, he has no clear idea where he is. But then he discovers something that changes the direction of the story. He is in one of the most famous cities in the world for food. That should narrow your guesses. The city is elegant, crowded, romantic, and obsessed with culinary tradition. Somewhere inside it stands a restaurant connected to the chef our hero has admired from a distance. The restaurant still carries the weight of that chef's reputation, even though the man himself is no longer there to lead it. Our hero is suddenly close to the place he has imagined for so long. There is only one enormous problem. He cannot simply walk through the front door and apply for a job. Think about that for a moment. He has the senses. He has the instinct. He has the passion. He may even understand food better than several people already working in the kitchen. But if the staff could see exactly who he is, the conversation would be over before it began. Do you know the movie now? If you are thinking of a story where a talented outsider enters a professional world by hiding the truth about himself, you are getting warmer. But there is another major piece to the puzzle. Inside the restaurant is a young employee who is almost the opposite of our hero. He has access to the kitchen but no real confidence there. He has the body, the uniform, and the legal right to stand among the cooks, but he lacks the extraordinary instincts that our hidden hero possesses. One has the opportunity without the talent. The other has the talent without the opportunity. And that mismatch creates the central partnership of the movie. Their first connection is accidental and chaotic. A dish is in danger of becoming a disaster, and our hero cannot resist interfering. He makes changes based on instinct, balancing flavors in a way that should be impossible for someone in his position. The result attracts attention. Now the inexperienced worker has a new problem. People assume he is responsible for the improvement. He could admit the truth, of course. But imagine trying to explain it. The truth sounds more ridiculous than a lie. So the two outsiders become secret collaborators. This is where the movie turns its strange premise into something much more interesting than a simple joke. Their partnership is not only about hiding a secret. It is about two people, or perhaps two beings, each possessing something the other desperately needs. One can enter the human world openly. The other can actually cook. Together, they can do what neither could do alone. I'm still avoiding the most obvious clue, so if you have guessed already, well done. Here is another way to think about the mystery. Most movie heroes are trying to reach a place that is physically difficult to access: a distant planet, a locked room, a dangerous city, a championship, a battlefield. This hero can sometimes see the place he wants from only a few feet away. The barrier is not distance. It is identity. He can be close enough to smell a sauce simmering and still be completely excluded from the world that made it. That makes food especially important as a clue. In this story, taste is not background decoration. It is how the hero understands the world. When other characters see random leftovers, he imagines combinations. When they think only in terms of hunger, he thinks in terms of balance. He is excited by contrast, something sharp beside something rich, something fresh against something deep and warm. The movie treats his imagination almost like a private fireworks display. But the important point for our riddle is simple: his artistic language is flavor. And notice the irony. The place where his gift would be most valuable is also the place where his presence would be least acceptable. A restaurant needs someone with an exceptional palate, disciplined curiosity, and instinct. Our hero has all of that. Yet one look at him would make the staff forget every qualification and focus on a completely different concern. If you have not guessed the movie, ask yourself what kind of creature could create that contradiction. The partnership with the young employee also works because both sides are outsiders for different reasons. The employee is awkward in an environment where everyone else seems to understand the rules. He is not a master pretending to be a beginner. He really is inexperienced. That makes his sudden improvement suspicious, but it also gives him something valuable. He is desperate enough to accept help from a source no sensible culinary school would recommend. Our hidden hero, meanwhile, needs more than hands. He needs access. He needs someone who can stand in the room, touch the equipment, speak to coworkers, and receive instructions without causing panic. The employee becomes his bridge into a society that would never intentionally build such a bridge for him. So when you watch the story as a mystery, do not focus only on the comedy of the disguise. Focus on the exchange. One partner provides visibility. The other provides vision. One can be accepted. The other can create. Their success depends on keeping those two functions connected, even while the world assumes they belong to the same person. There is another reason the movie makes a great guess the plot challenge. Its premise sounds like it should collapse after 5 minutes. Surely someone will notice. Surely the kitchen is too busy. Surely the arrangement is too absurd. But the film keeps the idea alive by making the emotional logic stronger than the literal logic. You understand why both characters continue, because each has finally found a path towards something he could not reach alone. And underneath all the food, there is a question for you as the viewer. If you tasted something extraordinary, would it matter who made it? Would your judgment change if the creator looked completely wrong for the role? Would you trust your own experience, or the rules you had been taught about who belongs in a professional kitchen? Keep that question in mind when the critic enters the story, because the final test is not only whether the food is good. It is whether someone whose entire career is built on judgment can recognize excellence when it arrives from a place he never expected. For everyone else, here is the next layer. The kitchen is not presented as a relaxed place where anyone can improvise freely. It is fast, disciplined, hierarchical, and full of rules. Every person has a station. Timing matters. Reputation matters. A single mistake can affect an entire service. And above all, the restaurant is under pressure because its famous past does not guarantee a successful future. That means our secret duo is not experimenting in a harmless hobby space. They are entering a professional environment where careers, status, and the restaurant's identity are at stake. There is also a suspicious authority figure who notices that something about the young employee's sudden success does not make sense. This manager has practical reasons to protect his position and becomes increasingly determined to discover what is happening behind the surprising new dishes. Notice how the clues are starting to line up. A gifted outsider. A famous culinary city. A respected restaurant. A young employee who receives credit for skills he does not really possess. A hidden partnership. A boss who senses that the story does not add up. Still, the heart of the film is not deception. The real question is whether talent should be judged by appearance, background, or expectation. Our hero has spent his life hearing some version of the same message: people like you do not belong there. His family believes the dream is unrealistic. The professional kitchen would reject him instantly if it knew the truth. Even his partner sometimes forgets that the success they are enjoying depends on a talent that cannot safely be revealed. This creates a strange form of invisibility. Our hero is responsible for something everyone praises, yet he cannot stand in the dining room and accept applause. He cannot build a public reputation. He cannot explain his technique. His best work must travel into the world under someone else's name. Ask yourself, how long can a partnership survive when one person becomes famous for another person's gift? That tension becomes more important as the young employee gains confidence. Success changes the balance between them. At first, he needs the secret cook completely. Later, as other people begin to respect him, it becomes tempting to enjoy the identity the world has handed him. And our hero has his own conflict. His family returns to his life, bringing all the old expectations with them. They remind him who he is, where he comes from, and why trusting the human world may be a terrible idea. To them, his dream is not just impractical. It is dangerous. The kitchen he loves is part of a world that would never naturally welcome his kind. So now the story pulls him in two directions. One direction is family, loyalty, familiarity, and survival. The other is ambition, creativity, risk, and the possibility of becoming something no one expects. Which would you choose? And if you are thinking this sounds like a very human conflict, that is exactly why the movie works. Its central idea is absurd on the surface, but the emotions underneath it are recognizable. Many people know what it feels like to want a life that does not match the identity others have assigned to them. Let us make the puzzle easier. Our hero is very small. He spends much of the story trying not to be seen. His strongest sense is his nose. And the reason he cannot openly work in a restaurant is not because he lacks papers, experience, or social status. It is because he is not human. There it is. If you suddenly know the answer, keep it to yourself for a little longer. Our hero is an animal, and not an animal anyone wants to discover in a professional kitchen. Now the movie's entire premise should begin to click into place. He comes from a large colony. His relatives are excellent at finding food wherever they can, but they have little interest in culinary refinement. For them, an edible object is a successful meal. For him, that attitude feels almost tragic. He believes food can be transformed, elevated, and understood. He is not satisfied with stealing scraps. He wants to cook. At this point, you may be wondering how an animal could possibly direct a human being through a complicated kitchen without revealing himself. That question leads to one of the film's most memorable ideas. The young employee discovers that he and his secret partner can coordinate physically. The tiny cook hides where other people cannot easily see him and uses a surprisingly direct method to guide the workers' movements. The arrangement is ridiculous, risky, and somehow functional. From the outside, the employee appears to be developing extraordinary culinary instincts. In reality, the real chef is hidden just out of sight. You probably have a very specific image in your head now. Do not say the title yet. The disguise creates comedy, but it also creates a problem of authorship. Who deserves credit for the food? The person whose hands physically prepare it. The mind that designs it. The team that makes service possible. The restaurant whose name appears on the door. The film keeps returning to these questions without turning into a lecture. That is one reason it makes such a good guessing game. The clues are visual and memorable, but underneath them is a broader story about creativity and recognition. There is also a romantic thread involving the inexperienced employee and another member of the kitchen staff. She is far more capable than he is, and has worked hard to earn her place in a demanding environment. At first, she has no reason to believe he possesses a mysterious natural genius. His sudden progress is confusing, especially because he cannot explain it honestly. For our hidden hero, this new relationship is another complication. His human partner now has a life that extends beyond their secret arrangement, and secrecy becomes harder to manage. Meanwhile, the restaurant itself is facing a larger test. A powerful critic is preparing to judge it. This critic is not simply a customer with strong opinions. His reputation can change how the public sees a restaurant. He is difficult to impress, skeptical of easy claims, and associated with a decline in the establishment's prestige. His return creates pressure throughout the kitchen. Now imagine being our hero. You have dreamed of cooking at this level. You finally have access to the kitchen, but only in secret. Your partnership is unstable. Your family doubts your choices. Management is suspicious. And now one of the harshest judges in the culinary world is coming to dinner. What would you serve? The obvious temptation would be to create something flash. Something technically complicated. Something designed to prove sophistication. But the film's most famous culinary decision goes in a different direction. Instead of trying to overwhelm the critic with luxury, the meal reaches for memory. A simple dish is prepared with enough care that it becomes something more than its ingredients. The critic tastes it, and the experience cuts through his professional armor. For a moment, food is not about status, reputation, or cleverness. It connects him to an earlier part of his life, before criticism became his public identity. That is one of the strongest clues I will give you. A feared restaurant critic. A humble French dish. A sodden memory of childhood. If you still do not know the movie, we are very close to the reveal. But before we get there, think about the structure of the story. It begins with someone who seems completely disqualified from his dream. Not underqualified. Not unlucky. Disqualified by the most basic assumptions of the world around him. Then the movie builds a bridge between that impossible dream and a real opportunity through partnership. At first, the secret feels like a clever solution. Later it becomes the source of nearly every conflict. Success is possible only because the truth is hidden, but genuine recognition is impossible for the same reason. Eventually, the secret cannot remain private. And when the truth comes out, not everyone reacts with understanding. That matters because the movie does not solve its central problem by pretending prejudice and fear disappear instantly. Some people leave. Some people refuse to accept what they have seen. The old system does not simply transform itself because talent has been proven. Instead, the story asks a more interesting question: if one prestigious door closes, can you build a different place where the work can still matter? The answer is hopeful, but not in the way our hero first imagined. His dream changes shape. He does not need exactly the future he pictured at the beginning. He needs a place where he can create, where the people who believe in him can work with him, and where his identity does not have to erase his talent. This is also why the final message of the movie is more nuanced than anyone can do anything. Not everyone is secretly a great chef. Not everyone has the same abilities. But genuine talent can come from places that experts, institutions, and gatekeepers are trained to dismiss. That distinction is important. The movie is not saying standards do not matter. In fact, standards matter constantly. Food has to taste good. The kitchen has to function. The critic has to be convinced by the work itself. The hero does not succeed because people are being charitable. He succeeds because he can actually do the thing he loves at an extraordinary level. The challenge is getting anyone to look past the impossible package in which that talent arrives. Now, one more clue about the setting. The city is Paris. The restaurant carries the legacy of a warm, optimistic celebrity chef whose philosophy continues to influence our hero after the chef is gone. The young human partner begins near the bottom of the kitchen hierarchy. The hidden culinary genius is a rat. Yes, a rat. And somehow this story turns that sanitation nightmare into one of the warmest celebrations of cooking, creativity, and unexpected talent in modern animation. If you guessed it when I first mentioned the extraordinary sense of smell, you are either very fast, or you know this movie extremely well. If you guessed it when the story reached Paris, that was a strong moment. If you needed the secret kitchen partnership, you were definitely supposed to be closing in. And if the harsh critic tasting a simple dish finally gave it away, that may be the clearest clue of all. Before I reveal the answer, make your final guess now. Think through the clues one last time. A hero whose family wants a practical life. A gift for smell and flavor. A dream of becoming a chef. A move into the culinary world of Paris. A struggling young kitchen worker who becomes the visible half of an invisible partnership. A tiny chef hidden from the people eating his food. A suspicious manager. A demanding critic. And a simple dish powerful enough to bring back a childhood memory. Got your answer. The movie is Ratatouille. Released in 2007, it turns an impossible premise into a story about creativity, belonging, and the danger of deciding in advance where talent is allowed to come from. The key clues were the hero's extraordinary sense of smell, the Paris restaurant, the secret partnership with an inexperienced kitchen worker, the hidden cooking arrangement, and the critic whose reaction to a humble dish changes the meaning of the final challenge. Now tell me in the comments, which clue gave it away for you? Did you recognize the movie early, or did you need the final restaurant clues before you were sure?